Anything that you want, that just came to me, so please. Anybody have anything they want to ask, say? Yeah.
I just wanted to say I just finished reading Annabelle's book, which I really highly recommend to everyone. It's really, really insightful and funny and smart, and you can relate to it at a million different levels. And I should say Annabelle and Jeff's book.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. But I loved at the very end, Jeff says, that what he loves about you is that you always bring him stories. And I thought that was wonderful. And also that the fact that everyone is sort of writing what they know, you know, in this group, and how important that is. And it's wonderful to jump into big fiction and imagination, and you sang what you know because I can tell from your butt lift and your, no, I'm kidding.
I'm actually 72.
That's an interesting point, if I can comment on that. I was listening to David Sedaris on the radio this morning talk about his writing, and my son is in the car, he's 12. And so he's saying, I've seen his books around the house, Mom, because he's talking about, because in this new book, he's not writing about his life. He said, well, actually I am. I was just calling people a squirrel and a chipmunk. Because because he's like, write about what you know. He said, I just thought that people would actually have an easier time if they see it in the guise of fiction. And so, I was thinking about that, for me, it's an anathema because I just write first-person essay. But the idea of like, well, perhaps, fiction, one must think of it differently as, you are really putting yourself into a different circumstance. And so write what you know, maybe. I mean, me, yeah, because I'm limited. But, but I also do know a little bit about a lot of things. So I have written about a lot of things. So I just don't always agree with what even you were just saying that nice thing about me. Wait, that doesn't make sense. But I think that, let's all keep a really big imagination.
Yeah, and there's more stories than one can imagine come from personal experience and lifetime, and if you have the ability to share it and with a larger audience, then...
Or don't underestimate. That's what I would say is don't underestimate what you know. Because you can always learn more about it. I was also listening to someone who won one of those MacArthur Prizes, and all of her writing is about Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings' family. She, of course, educated herself in that. So, I'm supporting what you're saying.
No,
just don't underestimate what you can know that becomes. And it was the whole thing was when she was a kid. She said she heard the story of Sally Hemings, couldn't get over it, and hoped her whole life to get to be able to write about that, and now she's living that dream of that one story. So I don't know, did I just build on what you're saying?
I think that the thing that's easier so you don't have to think about it so much is that all writing's autobiographical. I think that if you're writing a pirate novel that takes place 500 years ago, it has all the research you indicated. You subjectively pick the research. It's informed by every pirate movie you ever saw, your idea of what romance is, your idea, even your thoughts of, gee, will anyone buy this? I better put in another sex scene. Everything that is going on inside you is infusing your fiction anyway.
And all autobiography is also fiction, because that's what I keep telling my mother, at least. Because she really hates this new book. She just hates what I've written about her. I'm like, people don't believe it.
But see, they don't always know. When my parents saw My Favorite Year, afterwards my mother said to me, gee, where'd you get the idea for that crazy? And I said, Mom, I'm a writer. I make stuff up.
I just always remind people, and I had to be, definitely everyone who's in this book whose name in there was asked permission because it's real people. Then there were some people whose names we changed, like all of the nannies that I say strange things about. All true, no fiction there. It's all fiction once you start writing it, because that line blurs. And then also in the he said, she said process, I realized that maybe some things, there's no empirical truth either. So,
well, when I taught a class called Autobiography into Fiction, what I used to always say is, you punch up your memories anyway. I mean, if you were writing a scene about...
Were you Benji Stone?
Oh, God, yes. If you were to write a scene about an argument you had with your mother when you were 17, you can't accurately depict that argument. It's your experience of that argument. In fact, if your mother were writing that scene, she would write it differently. There is no objective picture of that argument.
Hope, what do you think about what we're saying though? Because yours is.
No, I completely agree, because you're taking real life experience and you're shaping it and you're dramatizing it and you're selecting which scenes to put in and which ones to leave out, and you're creating an artistic work. I don't make the distinction really between nonfiction or fiction a lot of the time, especially in my classes. I tell students, take your real life experience, shape it into a story that moves people and inspires people and makes them want to live differently or want to live better. And then we'll worry about what we'll call it. But we can do the percentages. Is it 50-50? Is it 80-20? We can play around with numbers. But really the most important thing for me is to create an inspiring story. But yeah, I think selectivity factors into it in a big way. And it was interesting that we both wrote about read about nannies today, our nanny selections, our Central American nannies. Carmen's name is not really Carmen either, only because I couldn't find her to ask permission to use her real name.
Well, Penelope's name isn't really Penelope. Can I say one thing that we haven't talked about, which is when you introduced Dennis' new book and genre writing, this is something that I'm really pissed off about right now, which is I feel like in the marketplace we live in of writing, your work gets classified into different genres, and it's so reductive because people should, and you won't even necessarily find your books in the same place in a bookstore. When someone might want to be saying, I want to read Dennis Palumbo, I want to read your books, right? But then you got to go here, you got to go there, and for women particularly, hi honey, I feel like there's a serious reductiveness going on with sort of like the chick lit or the mommy writing. Why is something a mommy writer? I mean, I'm not in the category at the moment of mommy writers in the bookstore, but that's not fair. There are a lot of really great writers who are in there that are falling into a category, because they might as well just put when it says like, mommy writings, men don't look here. Men don't shop.
But the truth is that men hardly buy any books anyway. We're the ones who buy the books. I mean,
well, then it should say, men, I know you're not buying much anyway, but don't look at here.
Should you be inclined to buy? Don't look here.
Yeah, there's definitely a same thing in the music. The genre is female. So
really?
Female singer-songwriter or just female?
If you're a female singer-songwriter, then it's like, that's a genre. Like, female is part of the genre.
We have to change that.
I don't think I'm being very clear in my description, but.
Dennis has to go. Does anybody have a last question for Dennis before he walks out the door?
We love you, Dennis.
Okay, we're going to call Dennis because we all need counseling.
If I call you, you counsel me about how we can write a great book, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I look for, yes.
Okay, I'll call.